Okie dokie. All right, we are live. We are recording. This is DKR Hundo Weeklies finale stream. This is it. This is 13 weeks straight, all summer long of DKR 100%. We have had 90 runs in total, and from those runs, we have been collecting all kinds of fun information and giving out awards based on how those stats line up against our other players. This has been a lot of fun for me, especially. I've done like a ton of the back-end stuff because it interests me, it entertains me endlessly. I have a really good time doing it. And it's just really cool to see everybody come together and put their all into what is honestly a really, really tough category. So props to everybody who has put a lot of time into this summer, especially those of you who have played all 13 weeks. Each player has submitted one run every week with varying levels of grinding. Been incredible to watch some of these players improve as well. A select few have quite literally almost taken like 10 minutes or something off their time, 8 or 9 minutes here and there. And some have taken less amounts off their time. But that's not what's important. For the sake of Hundo Weeklies, we are focusing on all of the fun, minuscule little stats in between. So without further ado, let's get going here. We have hosted 5 main categories every week that people have won awards in based on their gameplay. The first of which is the Film Critic Award. The second of which is the Tricky Bastard Award. It's awarded to the people who get the lowest amount of tricky tries in a week. And sorry, Film Critic is for the most cutscene skips of the week. We've got the Packrat Award, that is for the best wrong warp luck. Wrong warps in DK are 100% and any percent are infamous and very, very difficult to get good ones in a run. And then we've got the Balloon Chaser Award. Every week there is a balloon race track and a silver coin track, and the player to get the fastest time on both of those wins the Balloon Chaser Award or the Penny Pincher Award, respectively. Sorry, kind of botching the overall explanation of the format of Hundo Weeklies, but over these 13 weeks, there have been all 5 of these awards have been handed out to one player or multiple players, depending on ties. Some categories have had ties, others have had no ties whatsoever. But starting off on, we're going to start off with overall total awards. This is across all the categories, everybody. In Division 1 and Division 2, respectively. I do want to mention up front, we have had players move from Division 2 to Division 1. And as a result, their first couple runs are actually still Division 2 runs. Those awards were Division 2 awards. So they will be counted as such for the purposes of this. Right off the bat, I did just notice, I apologize up front, if there are any mistakes in the actual statistical counting of things. I did this by hand, so I referred to the database of all our information up front and put as much of that together thoroughly enough as I could. So I think Morks's actual run count here is wrong. I think he actually has 3 runs in Division 2 and 10 runs in Division 1. Just something worth mentioning up front. If there are any other mistakes, I apologize. I did my best here. But overall and up front, top of the list here is Dalerben in Division 1. Dalerben, all 13 of his runs this summer were all in Division 1. So you can see that on the left, to the left of his little profile bubble. This number will be on pretty much every slide we look at in this stream. So for Ben's 13 runs, he managed to net himself a total of 17 awards, which is super pog. I am not too far behind with 16 awards. Trident with 15. I only managed to find time to do one additional run over Trident, so we are tied in that respect. And I think Dupe actually also, Dupe has 6 runs as well. So me and Trident and Dupe are kind of in the same boat measurement-wise. And Tarzan and Morks, while they both have 9 or 10 in Morks' case, runs in Division 1, they also have their 4 other runs for a total of 13 in Division 2. Welcome everybody, by the way. Hello, chatters. So, Tarzan and Morks are tied, actually, for 13 awards each in Division 1, which is really, really cool to see side by side like that. I know Ben and Tarzan and Morks have spent a ton of time playing the game together over the summer and competing with each other. Morks and Ben and Packrat actually got to do a 3-way race for a marathon, so that was very, very exciting to see. So it's cool to see all their final stats kind of posted up here. And then we got Bandao and Netty down at the bottom here. Netty is included in Division 1. Although Netty only managed to fit 2 runs in to his summer, he still got some awards, so he will still be on this little leaderboard guy. We have a couple other players who also submitted 1 run. I know Washi submitted a run. He submitted for week 1. But that was the only one that was submitted, and there were no awards given. So he is in this presentation somewhere, but we won't see that until later. But shout outs to Washi. But out of Bando's 8 runs, he managed to earn 8 awards for Division 1, and Netty 2 awards. So that's Division 1. Sorry, we're kind of bumping our way through how this is all running here. Division 2, on the other hand, we're going to be seeing Dr. Fish at the top for a lot of this to start out here. Fish and Allens ended up being the 2 players who played the most in Division 2. Again, Division 2, the way we separated the 2 player bases was anybody with a personal best under 1 hour, 55 minutes in the 100% category. So Dupe played quite a bit himself for the first half of the summer, but I think once his marathon was done, he was kind of all set with the category. So we've got his 6 runs to look at. And then Fish and Allens played for most of the summer. So congrats, Fish, on 34 awards in Division 2. You're going to be on the top here for, I think, almost every category. But Dupe and Allens almost tying it up here. Dupe tying it up with only 6 runs, which is pretty awesome to see. I think most of those awards are actually going to be the Tricky Bastard Award because Dupe has unreal tricky luck. We're going to see some of that later, too. Congrats, Allens. That's 11 runs out of 13 and 1 award for each of those runs with 11. We see Tarzan and Morks here. This is from the Division 2 days. Tarzan actually really managed to sweep the board with 9 awards. That's actually a really nice count for only having done 4 runs. And as I mentioned earlier, Morks actually only did 3 runs in Division 2, not 4. Got himself 5 awards here. And shout outs to Brandino with 1 award total. Awesome stuff. So again, as I mentioned before, if you are on the board and you have earned an award, you will see your name here, even if you've only submitted 1 or 2 runs. And that just about does it for total awards. That's 84 in Division 1 and 72 awards given out in Division 2, which is really quite a count. That's a lot. So now we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes of the entire competition. And this was our week-to-week awards. These were on a much more precise basis, right down to the... getting to the bottom of the barrel, I guess, here. In terms of what we're focused on. Anyway, don't listen to me right now. My voice is... My brain is all over the place. The Film Critic Award. This was given to the player who got the most cutscene skips in a week. So in a 100% run, there are 40 cutscene skips in total. And the player who manages to get the most of those in a given week wins the Film Critic Award. This was tied a couple times. It's really easy to tell what was tied or what was not tied. Naturally, we're giving out this award one time per week, and there was 17 of these awards given out. So that means that would be 13 awards per week, plus 3 more were actually ties. So with Film Critic being cutscene skips, of course, we're going to see Trident at the top here. Trident won the cutscene skip award for every single week that he played. Trident only submitted 6 runs, that's less than half, but managed to grab all 6 of those awards every time, and that really speaks to how insane he is at cutscene skips. Morks, though, is not far behind at all, with 5 awards in this category. Some of these, I think, were ties. I think Tarzan tied him once or so. Welcome, Fish. Tarzan managed to sneak away with 3 of these Film Critic Awards. Over Ben's 13 runs, 2 were snagged by Ben for cutscene skips. And myself, over my own 7 runs, I managed to grab 1 award. And I'm pretty sure I tied with Morks or something. And then poor Bando and Nettie down here did not manage to grab the Film Critic Award for any of those weeks. On to Division 2, though, we're going to see Fish all the way at the top here again with 7 awards. I don't think any of those are ties, actually. I think most of those are Fish's, and then some of these are also dispersed between Morks and Tarzan. Dupe also got away with some good cutscene skips here and there. 2 awards tying up with Morks. And yes, as Alan's pointed out before, 0 awards for film critics. Yeah, that would be awesome, Fish. I would love some dual commentary. Let me hop into the commentary channel here. Hello, my friend. Let me go ahead and get you feed. There we go. Appreciate you jumping on. It's always fun to have more than one person on the mic. So as I had mentioned before, Fish, you are actually going to be at the top for a lot of these awards, which is awesome to see. But we're just finishing up with Film Critic now. Let's move on to, I think, probably my favorite category, the Tricky Bastard. This is almost basically pure luck at a certain point. And somehow, I don't know how, but I managed to take first here for Division 1 with my 7 runs. I got the award 6 times out of those 7 runs. There are definitely some ties, yeah. This is a very tie-heavy category. At the top there, you can see Trickiest Bastards. 23 of these awards were given out, which means there were 10 ties across those weeks, which is crazy, actually, to look at. Ben and Bando tie at 4, while Morks and Tarzan tie at 3. Tried it with only 2, which I looked at some of his stats a little bit closer. I was actually kind of surprised to see that a little bit. Because Trident has relatively consistent trickies, I would say. Oh, I just realized. Okay. Thank you, Ponytail. Fish was muted. There we go. Say hi now, Fish.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. And over to Division 2. It looks like there was only 1 tie here based on the total count of 14.
It was me and Alan's tied for, I think it was double first.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, actually. That's awesome. Yeah. 7 awards here for Fish, 3 awards for Dupe. Alan's and Tarzan tie at 2. And then Morks does not get any Tricky Bastards in Division with his Division 2 runs.
Mm-hmm.
Packrat is next. This is also a really interesting one because the rules around this changed a couple times during the summer. to start things off, there were a couple ties in this category, about 5 in both, actually. 18 awards each, Division 1 and 2. And this one has a 3-way tie for first place, with Ben, Morks, and Tarzan all taking 4 awards home for the Packrat, which is really interesting to see. Lots of ties in this one. Bando and I also tied between our 8 and 7 runs. And then Trident and Eddie also both got 1 award each. And we're actually seeing a very similar pattern with Division 2 between Fish and Allen's. 7 awards versus 6 awards. It's also almost another tie. So
yeah.
Very interesting. I imagine that's because it might have flip-flopped back and forth from week to week.
Yes, I think so.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. Especially in the later weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When there's only 2 people consistently running out of a division.
One of them gets it.
Then somebody, yeah.
That makes sense. But we're going to see that tie again with Tarzan, Morks, and Brandino.
Yeah.
Brandino managed to take home for his 1 submitted run. This is the award he took home was Packrat. So congrats, Brandino. Good stuff. Balloon Chaser. So this is actually the only time really in this little presentation we're going to see Balloon Chaser really come up. And the large part of that is because finding interesting data on it is actually kind of tricky. It's not, it's pretty cut and dry. There's not a lot of other interesting topics there. And I think that's because there isn't a lot of luck involved necessarily. And times tend to range pretty heavily depending on the nature of the track that's being run. But no ties all summer long in Balloon Chaser or in Penny Pincher, which is the next category we'll go through. Absolutely 0, which I'm actually a little sad about. I was really hoping we would have at least 1 week where somehow, by God's grace, we would have a tie in a balloon racetrack of some kind. I think that would have been really interesting. But I managed to get 4 Balloon Chaser awards to put me at the top here in my 7 runs, with Ben and Trident not too far behind. Ben really made himself known in his races, and we'll see that with Penny Pincher as well. He really plays well with his races, and it's definitely, it shows here pretty heavily. Just in general, like coming out on top of Trident, or tying with Trident rather, really awesome to see. Tarzan took home 2 and Bando 1, and I was really interesting. Morks did not take home any Balloon Chaser awards, which I thought was just really curious.
That's really interesting. He got them in Division 2, but not in Division 1.
Right. It's very interesting. Morks is one of our most improved players from the entire summer.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just a really interesting thing to see that come through. Normally, and this is not to speak to skill or anything, that's not at all my point. It's just, when we do 13 100% speed runs, you might expect things to kind of balance out. Like we saw with Packrat right here, 4-4-4, 2-2-1-1. Like we said, it kind of flip-flops week and week, but that did not happen here, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
But Fish takes home almost half of those Balloon Chaser awards. Again, with 2 people kind of towards the end here. Fish's times managed to win him 6 awards, with Dupe not too far behind at 3.
Yeah.
I think this won Allen's award. I think this might have been WizPig 1. I think he took on the WizPig 1.
I did not have a good WizPig 1.
So that's the Balloon Chaser. We're going to see the same thing here with Penny Pincher, except this time Ben is taking first here. Ben wins Penny Pincher 4 times. And I actually love this category as well because coin races are so specific. Not a lot of people practice them because they're kind of hard to You gotta
coin
make like
races are
yeah.
are interesting.
You kind of have to have a special practice file for them, or you have to have the practice ROM to practice them. So I just think it's really interesting that Ben takes home 4 awards total here, with me and Trident kind of dawdling behind here. So grats to Ben. That's a super cool win. Tarzan and Morks and Bando all tied for 1 award here.
Yeah.
Fish takes home 7 awards, with Allen's, Dupe, and Tarzan all tying at 2 awards. And again, we're seeing 0 for Morks here.
Yeah. I mean, him and like the first couple of weeks he was like competing with Tarzan. In there where he was still improving. Tarzan was already pretty much at like cusping towards Division 1 to start.
Right.
So, yeah, it just depends. Like sometimes you have a bad coin race. It depends on if you pay. Like I know, like part of why I got a decent chunk of awards was because I knew which tracks were the Balloon Chaser and the Penny Pincher, so I could kind of put a little focus in on them when I was. When I was doing the tracks. I
Definitely.
think one of the first couple of weeks I had like Tarzan and Morks and all those people who probably would have kept me from getting it. I lost Hot Top, I lost 1 week with Hot Top because I'd had a hard time getting out of bounds. But yeah, I mean overall the stats here are really interesting. You see Division 1 so close together with the Penny Pincher awards, but the big gap in Division 2.
Yep, and that's kind of been the running theme for all 5 categories, naturally. It's funny, too, because early on, Division 2 was actually very, very active, but as players continued to improve, Division 1 became more active. So,
yeah.
Just kind of the natural way of things, I think. Just kind of how things go.
Yeah.
So now we're getting into what I would consider much more fun stats outside of the awards. This is simply most cutscene skips. Over the entire summer, collectively, we missed 1,002 cutscene skips.
Over 50%.
Yes, and thank goodness. So that, again, that is in total. There's 40 cutscene skips in a 100% run. We did 90 runs over the course of the summer. That's 3,600 cutscene skips that we possibly could have hit. On top of most cutscene skips, the very top here, naturally, this is tied to the number of runs you do. So for the most part, looking at the number of runs these players actually performed, we're going to see these kind of line up for the most part. But Morks coming out on top with 423 cutscene skips. Definitely one of Morks' strong suits is cutscene skips. Tarzan in second, not too far behind at 391 out of 520. And Diller Ben with 381 out of 520. So it's actually a 30 cutscene skip gap. That's about an entire Hundo run's worth of cutscene skips between Morks and Tarzan. It's a really fruitful win for Morks, I would say. Fish at 275 out of 400 with your 10 runs. Good stuff. Bandow 238 out of 320 out of 8 runs. Allen's 233 out of 440. That is greater than 50%. Hell yeah, brother. Kick ass. Myself with my 7 runs, 213. Trident, this is not surprising.
That is not surprising, but it is just incredible. He has missed less than a run worth of cutscene
skips. Less than a run worth. Yeah, in his 6 runs, he missed 30 cutscene skips. That is an insane percentage. We're going to see more of that in just a second. Dupe gets about 75%, I think. It's 168.
Yeah, that's close. Yeah.
So yeah, this is a fun way to look at this. But naturally, like I said, this is kind of hooked up to the runs, the amount of runs you've done. You're going to get more cutscene skips. So that's not surprising. Let's have a look instead at percentage-wise. So this is that same leaderboard, but resorted for the most percentage one.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to see Trident at top, almost 90%. 87.5 over 6 runs is such an absurd number.
It is, yeah.
Oh, before we get into that as well, globally, we did manage to get almost 75% of cutscene skips.
That's a lot. That's a lot, and that's amazing.
Yeah. So our players are definitely cracked. That's a really good number. Morks is not too far behind, though. Still breaking 80% at 423.
Yeah, that's impressive to break 80% over 13 runs.
Yeah, that's really impressive, I think. I would be very curious if Trident had 7 other runs. I would love to see what that number becomes.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if it would go below 8%. Just
I don't
based
think
on how
so.
good Trident is. But
I
we
would
might be
imagine
looking
it's more
85.
like 8, yeah, I was going to say like 85% probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can already see, like, I'm in third here, but the gap between me and Morks is actually a lot. Like, a full 6%, more than that, between our two play styles and our experience with cutscene skips. And then we're going to stagnate quite a bit. Me, Tarzan, Bando, and Ben are all right in a row here.
Yes.
Very, very, very close. Like, the difference between 5th place and 2nd is 3%, whereas the difference between third and 2nd is 6%. That's crazy. That's like multiple runs worth. Dupe sits at a really, really pretty, perfect 70. Yep. 68 and 75 for yourself. That's also a really nice round number. Actually, 275 out of 400. Very clean. And then some of our runners who play less hundo, we can kind of see how important that can get. I think if you see your percentages in here, this is a really good way to, I feel, to identify gaps in your gameplay. Like, I would love to have an 80% cutscene skip average.
Yeah, you'd have some great time.
Exactly. Yeah.
More cutscene skips.
Just like a few more.
Because your racing is like right up there with Trident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's like if you can't hit that.
Yeah,
it's tough. But moving on. This is also a really fun one. This is probably why it's my favorite category. Most tricky attempts. Allens takes first place over 11 runs with almost 100 attempts, 97 attempts. So naturally, we could look at who had the least number of attempts here. But that is directly tied to how many runs you've done. Again, so...
Tarzan wins that by a mile.
Yeah, this is absurd to me. I, triple checked this stat. This is true.
Tarzan has insane tricky luck.
Wow.
That's what? Wow. That's averaging... That averages just over 4.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
13 runs between all of them. Ben and Morks, it's clearly 13 runs. And then 57.
I'm averaging 5.4 trickies per run. And Tarzan is averaging a full one less run, full one less tricky go than me.
Yeah, it's absurd.
In 3 extra runs. Well, we have worse. We have worse luck than you. That's all that means.
Yeah, clearly we have worse luck than Tarzan, who actually got the most first tries out of anybody else in the entire summer. 10 first try trickies. Yeah. And this is, between everybody, 539 attempts, which is, if anybody actually gets that in a run, I think you should probably just reset. But that's a lot of trickies.
Yeah.
So let's look at this a little bit deeper here. Let's go a little bit, get a little bit more interesting.
Let's go.
Average tricky attempts. Dupe hits the top of the board. We kind of joked about this earlier in the summer, but it's actually insane to look at.
I forgot about Dupe's luck. I forgot about Dupe's early luck.
Dupe's tricky luck is absolutely absurd here.
Yeah.
Not even hitting an average of 2.
Yeah, I kind of forgot because he only did he did just under half of the runs. He was active for the first 6-7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stopped doing it, which wish he had kept going. But obviously,
I would love to see I'd love to see what these numbers would be.
Yeah.
When you double this, overall, globally, first try, we're like, you know, all between all of us, it's like 3 tries, a little over 3 tries, and then about 3 tries per second. So on average, that's like totally expected. To me, this confirms that Tricky is like a 33% chance kind of thing. You know, I would feel. But this is just absurd. This like makes no sense to me. Not even a 2. Which we do see, you know, Tarzan, apparently your first Tricky, whatever you're doing there, man, keep it up.
Keep going.
Keep going. This is a better average than Dupes right here, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like all your first tries.
It's just Dupe had that Tricky 2 luck on tap
as
well.
Yeah, and we see that like +1 here with your Tricky 2s, which is pretty interesting. Everybody else is pretty even. Mine is literally identical. I don't know how I pulled that off.
That's awesome.
It's really surprising. 257. And then everything else from here on out is pretty predictable, generally speaking. Morks's Tricky 2s seem to fall off a little bit, unfortunately. But Ben has better luck with Tricky 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's about.
The dichotomy of Alan is something there too. 6 on bad first Trickies, decent second Trickies. Yeah.
So that's average Tricky attempts. This is a fun one to look at. I still can't get over the dupe here. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's so good.
So crazy. And now we're on to wrong warp scores. So naturally, again, we're talking about run count here, generally speaking. Morks and Tarzan tie for wrong warp scores after 13 runs.
Holy cow.
In total, 76.5.
That's awesome.
Both of you guys tie for first on the best wrong warp luck you can get. Ben is not far behind at 72.5. That's only like a couple more overworlds that he needed, which we'll see in a minute here why that doesn't make any sense. But Allen's and Fish, looks like Allen's actually did have on average better luck than you.
He had 1-8. He had 1-8 run better than me, which that
makes sense. That
does mean he had better luck than me overall.
Very, very interesting to see.
The only reason Ben's is so low is because he gets so many overworlds on Dragon Warp. It's so true, Tarzan. It's so true.
Yeah, we're gonna see that in a sec. It's
Man's
crazy.
Been plagued by that. All right.
Everybody else here is relatively predictable.
Bandow's got relatively high luck because he's only 4 behind me with 2 less runs.
Yeah, that's really, really impressive. Actually, I didn't notice that. Wow, 2 runs different and only 4 boards behind you.
Yeah, like yours is pretty on average.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty expected for sure. So this is wrong warp scores, but how about the luckiest warper in the entire summer?
It's Ben.
It's Ben, absolutely. 10 overworlds and 9 dragon planes.
Yeah, this guy got double dragon plane a couple of times.
Dude,
or at least once.
Like, this is like half of his wrong warps are lucky wrong warps, are like, 12% wrong warps or whatever.
And then Tarzan Allen's on the most vanilla.
Oh yeah, Tarzan and Allen's most dragon cars, 38 of them, baby.
They did a lot. They did a lot of runs, so that would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like by comparison here, this is 19 lucky warps.
Yeah.
Morks only has 11. Tarzan only 10. Like he almost doubles it. So whatever you're doing there, Ben, keep it up, man. You're clearly doing something right. Very, very interesting to see. Dragon car.
Bro, I was begging for dragon cars after a while because every time I got dragon plane, my dragon force skips were awful and I lost time.
Rip.
At least in that warp, I at least wanted the dragon force to be a dragon car.
Yeah, this really stuck out to me as just
I think that's great.
So crazy, man.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into kind of the end of things here. This is total run time. Again, naturally tied to how many runs you've done, but there's some really interesting stats here on the top of the leaderboard with Morks, Ben, and Tarzan are 3 players that managed to play every week of the summer. Morks takes the win on Ben by 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I think
It was literally the last run.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was week 12 or something. They were like 9 seconds apart, which is just insane.
Yeah, and then Mork's got like a 149.
Oh yeah.
In the final week, and I think Ben got like a 151. Something like that.
Yeah, but this is just cool to see.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that I guess a summer of Hundo takes about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Just another one of those things I'd love to see. I mean, Trident only did one less run than I did, I think. But I think if he had done 7, he'd still be beating me by multiple minutes.
I would agree, yeah.
Because he's Trident. He's a champion. We also have...
he'd be like 12-10.
Oh, yeah. We have average runtime as well. So this is a stat that was available on the boards here.
Yeah.
Ben, although he lost by about 2 minutes, his consistency really shows here. A 154.05 versus 154.28.
Yeah, that just shows to the improvement of Marks though, because he has a 2-hour run in there.
Yep, for sure.
And Ben doesn't have, and Ben's probably ranges from 151 to like 155 ish, I guess.
I think that sounds right to me.
Yeah, I don't have the spreadsheet pulled up to actually like look at it, but I would guess that.
Yeah, Tarzan with 155.05. I think he said earlier in chat that 155.05. Oh no, he said it was 155.08 was his PBs at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
So you are beating it by 3 seconds. Champion.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Bandau. Look at Bandau's 152.
Yes, this is really solid.
Really good.
That's very, very good. Yeah, Bandau naturally has been playing this game for a long, long time now, so he has a lot of experience and can probably autopilot a lot of stuff. Whereas, I think if you compare that to someone like Morks, who has improved so much, but I think he probably still has to think more about the routing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know I sure do. I don't know how I managed the sub 150 average because my first couple runs were only 150s. I was very proud though. The happiest thing I could take away from Hundo Weeklies is in the 7 runs that I did do, I always improved on them.
Yes.
Which is a good feeling. Even down to week 1 and week 2, I improved it by 2 seconds. And then week 6 to week 7, I improved it by 1 second. So
yeah.
It technically counts. I did it fast.
Yeah, let me look. Because I was a little bit all over the joint with my runs. My first run was not good. It was my D-Rust run. Then I don't know, after week 6, everything was kind of consistent.
You kind of got into a groove.
2 flats generally. The 159 was super nice.
Hell
really,
yeah.
I knew my weak points. I found out my weak points very fast by the end of it.
Right.
It was generally WizPig 2 was really bad for me. I lost multiple sub 2s to it. And that's just something that you find out by consistently doing these runs.
Definitely. So, we also have some of my favorite notes, comments. Obviously, we've done, each player gets to submit 1 run a week, and if they want to leave comments for themselves, this is handpicked some of my favorite comments.
Yo.
Dupe, I remember seeing this one come in, and it just made me really laugh.
Got pragged the oobs.
Brag the oobs, man.
Yeah.
Followed immediately by, of course, Tricky Love Me, IDK.
Yeah.
Classic dupe.
Yeah.
I also love Alan's comments. All of his comments over the summer have always put a smile on my face. Like bad Tricky, cool, cutscene skip, hot to volcano, but PB.
Yeah.
Also, I think this was the week where we featured Allens and versus Fish, where he got Dragon Plane.
Dragon Plane, and then he lost to Turkey.
And then lost. No. And I don't speak Spanish, but Google Translate says this translates to Smokey defeated me.
Smokey defeated.
I think descarado means sassy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That would make sense.
It just brings me a lot of joy.
Oh, yeah. Bandow's PB run. I was there for that.
Yeah, I saw
that. That was the coolest. He was so... It was so cool just to hear him, like, the focus, the absolute madman. Yeah. Just cracking out everything. Like,
what a champ.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love this text. Just PB, come on! I can hear him saying it in my head. And here's Washi. Definitely. I had mentioned earlier that the Washi would be appearing. Washi did do one run in week run, but unfortunately didn't get any awards. But I think we all agree with his thoughts on that one run.
Tricky stinks.
Tricky stinks.
True, it does. It does.
Great comment from Ben. Bad run.
Bad run.
Vomiting emoji.
Let's see.
I think that was the first run that he did.
157. It was his worst run in week 4.
Yeah, he was not happy with that run.
No.
A moment of silence for Tarzan's run. Sad face. Followed by Tarzan's comment. Come on. Did I really
it's the one where he crashed, right?
I think so.
Did I really think that hard for a huge comeback?
Rip. We've
week
all been
3.
there.
No, that's a different week.
Oh,
that was right.
Okay.
This was a D2 run.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, he was so close. He was 10. He would have been 11 seconds better. He would have gotten a 154 and been in. He got there the next week. Like, he got a 154 in the run and got promoted. So
that's right. Okay. Yeah,
you didn't post the one that I crashed, but I thought you would have made it. I thought you could have made a comment about it.
Good comment from Works that just says yeet. I really liked seeing that.
Yeet was 151.57. So that was his best run up to date.
I failed Darkmoon Coins. I am not as cracked as Ben.
That's true. That was my last week.
I don't think, after seeing that clip from Ben, I don't think any of us are ever going to be that cracked.
Yeah.
And then
I'm glad they got put up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. After a summer of 90 hundo runs, I think we can all agree that thumb do hurty, man.
True.
Thumb hurty quite a bit.
That is, that's your first run. Your first venture back into the grueling session, the grueling few minutes of the run. That is.
I imagine I finished and then
Louis won into hover challenge.
Yep. Oh yeah. End of the run. I'm just like thumb hurty.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So that just about does it. That's going to be everything that I was able to put together for this stream today. Obviously, we can go back and look at some of this stuff because there's so much fun data here to just kind of look at and play around with. One of my favorite things that was put together from this summer was Ben putting together the actual probability of each combination of wrong warp.
Oh yeah,
that was so interesting, and I imagine it took him quite a while to put together, but that was really, really cool. I am very happy to go ahead and just make, I think it should already be, but I will make it publicly available, the actual page that I stored all the data in. It has everybody's Tricky 1, Tricky 2, all of their wrong warps, all of their balloon and silver coin times, all their final times. Everything is there. If anybody else wants to dig into some of this data and go crazy with it, because like I've been saying, there's so much here that is really entertaining to go through. It's my pleasure, Trident. I had a lot of fun doing this. This is like one of my favorite things about DKR is just getting to see all the different stats come together, all the silly things. And thanks to everybody for playing so much freaking Hundo this summer. This was a really fun format. If not for the competitive aspects, certainly for the social aspects, it's just been fun to kind of have a weekly thing where we all kind of get together. I have not gotten the chance to play much DKR lately, but this has kept me, close to the community, kind of still around, still chatting with everybody on voice comms too. If I'm on comms or just listening to you guys chat, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you everybody. Big shout outs to the big three Chads, Morks, Tarzan, and Ben, for submitting 13 runs. That is redonkulous. There's a couple other things that I didn't get the chance to put together. I forgot. I really wanted to put together a most improved page where everyone could see who is the most improved. I believe it was definitively Morks.
Yeah, definitively.
Like we talked about that last week a little bit. Morks is up there, but I know, Bando PB'd, Tarzan PB'd, Fish PB'd, Ben PB'd, everybody PB'd. Improved. Alan's PB'd, Dupe PB'd. Like, that would have been really cool to see, but unfortunately I collected everybody's approximate PB when this started. I didn't get their exact PB, so that's more stuff that could come in the future, but
yeah, it's much easier with someone like me where I PB'd once. You're like, oh, okay, I can just look. I can go on SRC and I can look at their
but Morks
I can
PB'd
look at their previous thing. Morks is a lot more difficult.
Morks PB'd 9 times or something. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, thank you all for watching. This is a PDF that I'll go ahead and drop in the Hundo Weeklies channel in Discord. I know this was kind of a short stream, but I just wanted to kind of tie things off and have a little fun looking at some of the stuff we gathered. Again, this is 90 Hundo runs. That's not a short amount of time. It's like hundreds of hours that you guys have all put towards DKR and the community. So thanks so much once again. And thank you, Fish, for joining me on comms. Again, you are so awesome for hopping on here with just to cover and talk about Hundo. So it's great.
Oh yeah, I always enjoy this. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a super great summer for 100%. I did not suspect I would get pulled back in this hard. I like the idea of it, and then when it came time to do it, I was like, oh man, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put the time in. And as soon as I started, I said, oh, never mind. We're in for the long haul. This is fun. And it's all the more fun when you get to do races. I mentioned it last week with Morks. But, getting, me, Tarzan, Morks, Bandau, and Ben, the 5 of us did a lot of races together. A lot of times we sat there, did our runs, and we laughed, and we cried over our runs. we raged over our runs. It was fun.
That's what it's all about, man. That's Definitely. Literally what I was hoping would happen, over time. And who knows? Maybe we'll bring this format back next summer with Hundo again, or with a different category.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I think we're going to share some DKR community love. We're going to go ahead and raid Andy Bundy. Looks like he is playing some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
Thank you, everybody, again. This was a lot of fun. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.